Yeah, I have my own copy, thank you.
Really went out of color.
You know what? I need one.
Yeah, it's that big thing of pens, I meant to bring it up.
Oh, I have one.
So, you want to know where all the pens are? In my house.
Oh, silly thing.
Taking them home?
I empty my pockets, and I have like 6 pens in my pocket. I'm like, what? And then I forget to take them in, and so
Right.
so every week or so I like just load up my pocket with about 12 pens.
Bring it back.
As a public meeting, I think we still do the pledge, correct? So Mr. Blinkoff, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming to the 2024-2025 budget to the Board of Trustees. Thank you, Suzanne, for dealing with our new software program, which puts everything backwards. This report is familiar to most people, but it's opposite. It does the revenues at the end instead of the revenues at the beginning. But there's a little bit of a learning experience. It's pretty good. Maybe next year we'll actually have it do the graphs instead of manually entering all the graphs. But we have some time to learn.
What software is it?
Edmunds GovTech. It has a lot of cool bells and whistles, but we just got the program, so I haven't had time to play with the bells and whistles. But we'll get there. I'm going to start with our road conditions now. Rich recently did this. One of our larger expenses every year is our paving. And this year, you'll see on the budget, we're actually cutting the budget back. And again, it's because of some of the other expenses that we've had, are going to have, and we'll discuss it. But the reason I want to talk about the road conditions first is it's one of the more important things. Stonytown eventually needs to be repaved. Fortunately, this year, the winter wasn't that bad. So the road has a couple of rough spots, mostly at the end at our border to Plandome Manor. And we will fix that. Most likely Rich will be able to fix it. If not, we might be able to spend a couple of dollars and have it repaired. And
Or,
there's also the possibility that the person just building the house there, a lot of his equipment was probably very responsible for the road to disintegrate.
that's why we take a new house
And
bond.
we have the bond, so we might look to the bond for that fix.
Hmm.
The other road that we really wanted to look at was Mason Drive. Just happened to get off the phone yesterday with my friends at the Long Island Railroad. And I will be meeting with them, and then they're going to have a community meeting, which I asked them to do with all the affected residents on their plan. This summer is when they're going to present the plan of what they're going to do with Bridge Road. So I said, hey, does that mean heavy equipment and stuff that might damage a nicely paved road? And they said, yes. So we're not going to touch Mason Road until the bridge is repaired, the Webster Avenue Bridge. And the only paving project we're looking to do this year is right there on, what's the name of the street?
Birchdale.
Birchdale, thank you. That's a rough spot over there. So you'll see in the budget, we're using a small amount of money to do one small road paving project this year. And we're going to roll over those CHIPS funds to next year, where hopefully then we'll tackle Stonytown. And depending on when the bridge is done, then we can look at Mason and any other roads that need updating.
How fresh is this study?
Rich does it every year. So
I know, but like how recent?
Let's say
Less than
2
a
weeks
month.
ago,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago. If you compare it to on our website, you should be able, it's in the old budget presentations, you'll
Right.
find the same map.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can see how the roads change from year to year to year. But yeah, he does it, he waits till the last plowing, in essence, to do the road scoring. because the plows is what destroys our roads.
Do you keep a record of when roads were last paved?
No. So Rich might have that. I
Yeah,
don't
that
keep
would
that.
be-
record.
The only reason I say that if it's easy enough in our village records, because now everything's online, right? We just have to, like, let's say if you haven't ever done it before, but it doesn't seem like that much extra work to say, for instance, like the people in Colony Lane, 5 years from now, they still haven't been plowed. Like, when was the last time we were plowed? Just to have that, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I
it's-
can ask Rich, because like, I know my street was done 20-something years ago. I just happen to know when my street was
Oh,
paved.
so it's that long ago.
Oh, my street, yeah, 20
Yeah,
years ago. almost,
okay.
Right after I
Well,
moved in.
it does vary. I mean, obviously, the ones that are heavily trafficked,
Traffic
Right.
would need it more.
or the ones that are more
Like
susceptible.
Stonington is gonna need it more often than Colony Lane.
I have all access to all that. I mean, in all of the, in each, road work package.
I
I
can
have
ask,
the list
I
of
can ask
roads.
Rich to.
You know,
do
the
a
thing is
spreadsheet.
that it's not always, well, you're not doing Cherrywood from end to end.
Oh,
You
right.
know, it's, well, you're this
Part of
portion
it,
and
yeah,
that
okay,
portion.
just skip it. I just
Yeah,
thought
I mean, it would
That's
be a
also
little
kind of wrong.
difficult.
It's not like we do one whole street.
Right, okay, that makes sense. Yep, okay.
All right, next to my next favorite topic is capital equipment. So I don't have news yet on the large dump truck international that's still in the shop because the mechanics haven't given a once over yet to tell us, is the transfer case and transmission repairable or not repairable? And if it is repairable, what's the damage going to be? So the question is, do we buy a new truck at that point, or do we invest a lot of money in a repair, or is it going to be a simple repair? I don't know. So that's kind of one of the big items. Additionally, we have been reserving money for a pickup truck from last year and the year before, so it's now time to spend those funds because the old pickup truck, Rich just did some repairs to it, but some things have been breaking on that thing. It's past its prime. And then the big thing is the payloader. Our payloader is 23 years. It's going to be 24 years old soon. That's one of our most important pieces of equipment because if we ever have another Isaias or Sandy, that is what's going to keep our roads clear. So I think it's time to start investing in a replacement for that, even though it still runs very well. It's an old piece of machinery. If that machinery goes during a storm, we're not going to be able to get it fixed in time. We're not going to be able to get a replacement machine in time. It's scary that that machine is that old and it's that important for us. And we have nothing else, no other piece of equipment that could double up. If one of our dump trucks died, the other dump truck could plow our roads. It would take twice as long, but at least we have something. Here we don't have anything. Additionally, we need to replace the ride-on mower. That thing is about to die, and it's fine because we said we're going to replace in 2020, so only 4 years behind. Then we'll go to the next page, and that's our proposed capital spending. So you see the state of our equipment. This is how we're going to spend the dollars. I'd like to spend our ARPA funds sooner than later, and I think the sooner is now. So we should probably spend it all this year, and I have enough equipment that we want to get. Obviously, that pickup truck, a payloader with backhoe. Now, we're going to get a different piece of equipment. We'll get a backhoe with the payloader so that Rich can do other work that a very large payloader can't really do. You'll see the ride-on mower. And then another thing Rich requested, and it makes a lot of sense, and I don't know why he didn't ask for it earlier, is a ride-on blower. So instead of the guys in the park with those large backpack blowers all the time killing their backs, this is it's an expensive piece of machinery, but it's a smart investment, not only for the parks, but all the islands. They'd be able to do the work quicker, more efficiently, and it's just less wear and tear on their bodies by having a nice ride-on blower.
Is it gas or electric?
100% gas.
Or maybe we
Mm,
could just get an extension cord from the garage.
just saying.
It's.
I don't
You're gonna get those ladies after you.
They might.
I was gonna say, I've never seen an electric
So
one.
there are, interestingly enough, there are electric street sweepers, but I haven't seen an electric ride-on blower. I can ask Rich to look, but he knows I like to look at all the green alternatives. We didn't have a full conversation on, but I can ask him to relook and see if there's a electric one and how longer charge it holds to do what we need to do. Because when they're doing the park, that's
Yeah,
a
they need it for a
big-
long time.
Right, and I don't know if anything electric can handle the entire park for the
Probably
day when
not.
we're doing that work. So that gets us to capital spending. Now, the thing that's on the list here is the big truck. So if the big truck does need to be replaced, that kind of changes my proposed capital spending. We would then possibly not do the pickup truck, possibly not do the payloader, and we still need maybe we could always move the blower to another year, but definitely do the mower. We'll have to move the dollars around. We do have some money in capital reserve. That's the $100,000 on the right-hand side. We want to put another 50 in this year. You see that in the budget. So we have monies to spend if I need to get that truck replaced instead of this other equipment. But we'll wait and see. I was hoping to have the mechanics report today. Hopefully then we'll have it by the board meeting on Monday. So then maybe I'll have a better idea on our capital spending. That kind of, I'm not taking money from this year's budget. It's monies we either have from ARPA or it's reserved funds already. So the money has been there and we've been saving it. Next page,
Can I just ask, what's the full amount on ARPA?
186,000.
That's what we have.
Oh, I thought we got.
That's
other-
all I have left.
This is the
what's
second tranche or whatever's left of the second tranche. Didn't it come in two tranches?
Yes.
Yeah, we got about
We have
$500,000,
About 500,000.
Okay, and
which we spent on all of our new software and scanning.
The digitizing of all of our files. That's the remaining funds.
Yep.
And I was given a warning to spend it sooner than later, so that's why we'll do the spending now. Here is our proposed budget by expenses with fire. And then traditionally, you see the next slide without fire, and then the next slide is a nice pie chart. We've always done it that way because fire is a pretty expensive, it's a large sum that comes in and then it goes right back out. So even though we can talk about the numbers here on the first slide, we can actually, no, we're gonna go to the next slide. I just want people to see that right now our fire spending is about 18% of our total budget. So since that's just a quick pass through, let's go to the next page. And then we'll see where the monies are going and where compared to compared to last year. Legislative pretty much staying the same. Our judicial, that's salaries, so that's just going up the salary percent that will
And
change.
the addition of a second prosecutor.
Thank you. So,
So it's really not full salary.
it's salary we're we're
Well,
compensating the
the
prosecutor.
wasn't being paid.
So we have, Jeff is our primary, and we have two other prosecuting attorneys for our court. One was volunteering this time for years, and then asked to finally get paid, and I thought that was reasonable by having three prosecuting attorneys. How long does our court take to get done? 2-3 hours?
Yeah, and we've got a lot more traffic in the
Yeah.
last 2 years.
If we went back down to 2 and saved the $250 that we pay our third prosecuting attorney, court would go on probably for another hour. So in order to keep things running smoothly, I think it's a small expense to have. So that's only going up a small amount of money. Executive staying the same, our finance is staying the same. Staff and clerk, that's actually going down, and it's going down because
Because we budgeted less money for the, Steve,
yes, for some strange reason,
because.
our village engineer, that line item goes into that line. It's just the way it's always been. The reason we're gonna use less Steve this year is because we're not doing as much road paving. We have one project, so his costs will go down.
And the other thing is that when we have costs incurred by Steve relating to a specific property, we're billing the property owner.
Right. Our legal and other goes up a little bit. Why is it going up?
Why is our legal going?
Yeah,
That's going up.
I think that's.
Not Jeff. Not Jeff.
It's the other. Who's the other?
the attorney and tax certiorars, which we have money sitting there for tax certiorars if they come through.
Okay. Just as an FYI, one of these columns is incorrect. The numbers should not be the same from one to the other, but I'll fix that, so my apologies. Actually, I just have to pull it out. That's a legal. Shared services, that's going up 4%, and shared services tends to be some building maintenances and equipment, but not election expenses. So like anything, our repairs to the building and repairs to other things have gone up. A, inflation, and B, building just needs more work on it. Our special items are going down 4%. Special items is insurance and municipal association dues, though I am surprised that our insurance is going down because usually that tends to go up.
I didn't get a number yet.
And
So
we put a number in here of higher.
then you'll have to double check why
Yes,
that.
yes.
That's why I had you look this over, just to make
Right,
sure that
yeah.
those things are right. Code enforcement's up a lot, up 62%. Can someone tell me why?
Yeah.
Come on.
The car.
Code.
The way, no, the way the security patrol works is it goes onto that budget item. It's where it works in the state approved budget codes.
Yeah.
That's where it falls into. I wanted to make it its own line item, but it actually, per the state budget codes, falls into this.
Code
So,
enforcement, it falls under code enforcement public safety.
so if this board wants to continue with security patrol, then our costs go up $130,000. Now, per my other email, I was recommending that we change to a less expensive company using non-law enforcement officers, and that will save us some money. Now, if the board as a board, we decide that we want more security patrols, and we don't just want to have one, we want to have 2 or 4, then that number goes up by that $130,000. So when we get down to where our budget is and where the revenue's coming and what our proposed increase in the tax levy will be, that would increase by $130,000 for each and every car that we add to the road. Building department fees, building department, that's up 3%, and that's primarily salaries. Highway is down 5%. We decided to spend a little less this year on the park. Rich is experimenting with free mulch. We have one of the tree companies that's giving us their ground up tree stuff, and you can see a whole big pile in the parking lot, which for the park and some of the islands, that's fine. We don't, it's better for the environment because it's not dyed. It's better than the environment because otherwise that stuff might just get thrown out. So in essence, recycling some pretty good chopped up trees that we can use in the park. But again, we're saving some monies there. I am having Rich only use one person for summer help instead of 2 people like we used in the past for summer help. And again, we're looking at ways to save some monies in order to keep the budget.
So summer help, like who, he'll have his regular staff, so for all the islands, right? To keep them up. So there's not going to be a decrease in the visual stuff that we see. Well, like, in other words, stuff won't get pruned because we don't have this one person, or what do we lose
They
by?
they do a lot of work, like I call them the kids, but they're younger people. They do a lot of work in the park and they help with the islands. You really won't see much of
That's what I'm asking.
difference. Oh, except for the island by you.
Yeah.
We're paving it over this year.
But so there'll be no noticeable change for residents?
No, maybe it gets done twice instead of 3 times.
That's
Yeah.
noticeable in the summer. So it'll be cut less or trimmed less, or what?
Probably,
what are we talking about here?
Probably needed less.
What?
Probably needed less.
So it will look worse.
I don't think it's going to look that much worse. I don't think people walk up and look at the little.
I think they do. I think I mean, I think you look at, we've had this conversation. You look at the Village of Plandome, you look at Muncie Park and this stuff, and maybe they have more money or they devote more to it, but there is a noticeable difference. I think we've gotten to a place where we're nice, now, you know, we've had some, so I would hate to see that unless we completely don't have money, or I would hate to see that slide, because that's,
I don't think you're gonna see too much of a slide in our islands. if we
I'll-
have one
okay, I'm gonna be
slide.
looking.
But I did tell them that the island here on Country Club, last island. to
Pave
work
it
on
over,
this
it's
year.
all right. Well, if you don't, you'll hear from Stephanie Deutsch, it's okay.
And for the most part, just, in Rich's defense, doing the islands and the boulevard, it's usually the guys. that
So it's
are
not, yeah,
experienced.
so
The
it's not
kids-
like one summer
No,
person's
no,
gonna
no.
make
The
any
kids-
difference.
The kids do a lot of the weeding, a lot of the, stuff here.
Or
Right,
stuff in the park
Right.
where it's protected. The guys out on the road
Yeah.
are our regular guys.
And, they know how to be a little more safe. The kids, I
Yeah.
mean,
right,
so.
okay.
Economic assistance and
Peter left.
economic assistance and opportunity.
That's your parks and your publicity.
Right.
And the highway. Wasn't highway?
The highway is where the help line goes. This is just spending money on the
Right.
parks. Again, a lot of it's mulch, so we're going with the free natural mulch instead of the
You spend a
dyed
lot of money
expensive
on
mulch. Yes, we do.
Annually.
It's amazing how much mulch we spent. Sanitation, that's fixed. That's our contracted rate with the carting company, Dejana. And employee benefits, that's going up because insurance rates are going up across the board for everything. So that's something we really have very little control of. And our last line is transfers to other funds. Of that, 50,000 going to the capital reserve fund for our equipment, and the other 50,000 goes to the central funds.
No, it's just capital reserve, but we put it in there
Okay.
if there's something that we want to work towards.
So-
But one is for equipment, the other is for whatever we might need.
And that's, so you see our budget is $175,000 higher than last year. A lot of it, again, is attributable to security patrol and a increase in benefits. And that's like your two key items that we get there. Any questions on expenses? And if you want the specifics, that's why I gave everybody the actual budget. It's comparative, we have the 21, the 22, 23, and then where we are so far in 24, and what our proposed budget is for 25, if you have the line items. And then also in your packet are the descriptions of all the revenue lines and descriptions of the expense lines, because half the time you can't remember. Some of the things here make sense, but some of the descriptions don't make sense. So that's why we have a little extra spreadsheet I put together a couple of years ago, so that you can actually understand what these things are. No questions on expenses? Let us go to these.
Well, he went out, unless he came back in.
I don't know,
One of the officers?
maybe.
All right, if I get shot.
All right. Now here we go to revenue. Here's the tough part. So in order to balance the budget, we need to bring in certain funds. Part of the big increase right here, as you can see, is our taxes. And in order to fund the security patrol, we are looking to increase our tax levy by 8.3%.
Nobody's there?
Just mystery people.
You know the building's haunted.
I know.
Could be one of the officers in the kitchen. too. Popped in. Oh, okay.
Nobody in the building. Hi.
Well, we did have a mystery person come before thinking court was today, so maybe it's another mystery person that thinks court is today. If we were to eliminate security patrol, that number goes down significantly. The other important line item here is our, if you scroll down to licenses and permits, that number I wish was, we, in conversations with Peter and other people, we're expecting less construction to happen in the village this year. So that number would go down compared to last year's number. But the reason it's going up and I'm expecting more money is hopefully this board will pass the revised fee and permit schedule at Monday's board meeting. If we don't pass that higher fee schedule, then this number goes down significantly, the 739.7. And in order to pay for things, we're gonna have to raise taxes even further. So I haven't done that simulation because I am under the belief that this board will approve the licenses and permit fee schedule that I presented last month. Non-property taxes, that's just an increase in 1%. And our non-property taxes come from, Suzanne?
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, our pilots.
That's our pilot.
We're expecting to get a slightly more pilots than we were in the past.
And our utilities first received franchise fees.
That's pretty much gonna stay the same, but I
Yeah.
think we're expecting slightly higher.
Slight increase in pilot, especially from the hospital.
Right.
Since,
Since
they're
they
purchasing the home.
purchased another couple properties.
Yeah, so-
The use of money in property, that's up significantly because, Frank, higher interest rates.
Oh, iron.
This is your favorite thing, the CDs, that's why I'm calling on you.
Oh, right.
It's your favorite topic.
So, but the properties that St. Francis, are they off your tax roll now? Because
Some
they're-
are, some
Some
are,
of
some
them
aren't.
are, not all of them, but they do a pilot with us, and we're trying to recoup some of that tax money through the pilot, because if they continue to purchase those properties, there's, how many are on that block? 12?
I think they've got everything now.
Yeah.
But they all haven't filed for the exemptions.
No,
Not yet,
but they will. Trust
but they
me.
will.
So
Which means less income generated from taxes
So
from
as-
those properties.
as those properties come off the tax roll, they make us whole.
Mhm.
Hopefully that continues.
Hmm.
Fines and forfeitures, that's up a little bit.
That's our,
Sorry.
That's the court, because our court's been a lot more active, which is
Yeah.
why we need a third prosecuting attorney. So thank you to our local police officers and our code enforcement officer for issuing violations. Miscellaneous is down 8%, and miscellaneous is minor sales, gifts and donations and other unclassified revenues. You know, we don't expect to really necessarily be selling too much of our equipment this year. We might if I have to replace the big truck, but if we do replace the pickup truck, we're not selling the old pickup truck. We're gonna keep it as a runaround.
Going back to finance, what percentage do we get of a ticket? Let's say it's a $100 ticket, what do we get? Half and half?
if it's
The state gets about, what, like
only
20%? I mean, 40%?
Any parking violations, we get all that money. Other
Right.
things like that.
Moving violations,
We get, I'd say,
it's like 60-40.
We get 60?
yeah.
So let's see, if we would enforce stop signs, have I ever mentioned that before?
What? What a new idea.
we-
I've never heard that.
Cameras on Stonington Road?
No, I mean, if the police could do
Get a
like
few new
stop signs,
trucks.
so that everybody here that's on
I
stop
saw Nick pull someone over on Middle Neck Road a couple of days ago.
signs. I just want to pull somebody over also.
So they're there.
Yeah.
It's a question
If
of,
you balance that could be.
That and Stonington.
Yeah.
Make another $100,000
Oh my God.
a year.
If they use the speed gun that we have, oh my God.
Yeah, the camera.
camera.
You know, if that were legal, if you were able to put a camera and capture a license plate like they do on the Easy
Yeah,
Pass
that
and
would
say,
be
Oh,
you're,
awesome.
you're 40, you're 30, and then,
Yeah.
What?
Red light camera.
I know.
The city is allowed, we are not allowed by the state to do that. Yes, Stony Town would pay for everything.
Wouldn't it?
It would.
I know.
Well, 20.
I'd probably be a big contributor.
So
Yeah, 25 is hard.
it's like impossible, but listen,
It's like standing
I'll
still.
give him 35.
Yeah.
I'm still getting plenty of money over 35.
state aid is expected to go down. And state aid isn't just state aid, that's other grants. Ronnie's applied to a bunch of grants, but it seems that.
Yeah, now we're in like a
Well,
grant
that's
desert right now.
The well is a little dry in grants, so that's why we're down almost $100,000 in grants. Hopefully in the future, there'll be grants that are out there. I just met today with Congressman Swazi. Said, Tom, give us money. So there isn't money this year, but hopefully next year, if we can get him reelected, then there will be some.
Hope isn't a strategy.
Okay, so when he is reelected, then we will hopefully. get
Hope
some
isn't a
funding.
strategy.
And then our last item is Suzanne's favorite item. The appropriated fund balance,
Why is it my favorite?
because I always hate this item.
Because we gotta do it.
We gotta do
Gotta
it.
balance the budget.
That's,
That's what we have to use from our own.
from our
money.
reserves to help balance the budget. And
But
look,
every year we're bringing it down, so
yes,
that's a good thing.
and we just got our,
Hmm.
this year's state report card from the controller. We got that a couple of days ago, and what's the rating called?
No, it's still designation.
No designation yet, so we're doing well, but the key thing is the use of reserve funds. That's the big number that changes your fiscal stress. So we have no fiscal stress, so I'm being very cautious on how we use money from our reserves. And that gets us to that.
And Randall, there's no money from sales tax, is there, that flows down to the villages?
Yeah, we get a little bit.
We get about $12,000, we haven't gotten it yet, but we usually get it, I'd say like May.
Who just,
Late April, May.
is that like a fixed percentage? Or how's that determined, or is it,
I don't know.
We get it from the
how it's
county.
determined, it's pretty
What?
much-
We get it from the
We
county.
get it from the county, and it seems to be about the same every year.
What percentage of the county sales tax?
that's gotta be like nothing,
Yeah.
nothing, because,
Lamani
Sales-
probably would,
no, because, well, sales tax alone, sales tax is one of their biggest, right?
Okay, if you look at your revenue description, you'll see Nassau County Tax Aid, it's 0000.3201. So if you go to the last,
is that the percentage or?
no.
I think that's what we get.
No, you can look at
What
our
pay-
code number, so look at our code, and let's see, and let's look historically on how much money came in from taxes. So it's the last page of this, is page 16. And in 2021, we got 0, in 2022, we got in 25, in 2023.
Are you looking at the little, oh, I don't think I have that page.
It's this.
Oh, this one,
The last
okay.
page of
Sorry.
the actual budget.
The last one?
Yes, so you can see the numbers, so we can get a guesstimate of where it is. So in 2021, we got in 0. Yeah, but then
That's
we got-
because it was for 2 years, because during COVID, they did nothing in the
we got
county.
nothing, so then they caught up. That's, we budgeted 10, we were surprised at 25. In 2023, we got 12, and that's why for this budget year, we're predicting another 12. We just don't know, there's nobody, unless you have some secret insight. Mary Jo, do you have any secret insight?
No, but I'm just thinking, what do we have, 4,800 residents?
Yeah, a little more.
That one number might go
Figure-
up.
Right? Figure, all right, let's say there's, how many women?
50%?
But it's
Let's
not,
be
some of them are
generous, let's say there's
children.
okay, so let's say there's 2,000, let's say there's 1,000 women. What's their average clothing spend, and look at the 8.25%. This,
Yeah, but they don't,
Just between
the
David,
Americana is not in our
David-
jurisdiction.
you know what I'm saying? David Frankel and I keep Costco alive. If it wasn't for David and I, Costco would get out of business.
there's no
So
sale,
that,
oh,
there's sales
Oh, there
tax
is
at
sales
Costco.
tax.
So like that alone, just what do we all spend at
So
Costco?
Lamani probably does 300,000 a year in sales tax.
probably, right, yeah.
And we get,
Oh, so it's only things in our, where we
I
are,
would-
oh, I understand.
Yeah, we go to Steakhouse, too.
And every time they sell an
I-
Aston Martin.
Yeah,
how much
well,
is
Brian
an
Cooper, I'm
Aston-
sure
an Aston
cheats.
Martin?
Yeah, what's the sales tax
So-
on Aston Martin, Frank?
Remember, we're not in Joanne's, so.
oh,
That's gonna be a big.
So
one.
what is that what fiscal year is that tied to? The state fiscal year, is that tied to like last fiscal year? Like, are they a year behind on transferring our share?
$1 million a year in sales tax.
They get, no, they're not a year behind, it's just, what do you think, Ron? It's from,
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
when do they determine the monies we
Like-
get, let's say this year, when is that determined? Is it determined this year, or is it based on last
It's
year?
from 2023, I would say.
It's
Yeah.
last year, it has to be
I
last
I
year,
think you know.
23.
I think the number
But no, we
goes
don't get, unfortunately, Frank, we don't get everything back.
Because with inflation,
If only.
taxes are going
Yes.
to go up with inflation. So
But no, I
think
wish
we'll
we
do
got
better.
more, listen, there's.
Oh, we'll get a few more $1,000. That's my prediction. Anyway, small thing.
Right. So that's,
Annually, we get you considered it,
Yeah, if, right.
because there's no guarantee.
Ask my
Right.
friends in the treasury.
Oh, there you go.
it's such a small number though. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, that's my point. It can only go up. It can't go down. That's like,
Oh, I
It's
wouldn't
like
be
chump
surprised,
change.
with the
Oh, it could go
county, it could
down.
always go, you never.
Just
I
Find a
don't
way to
know.
make it go down.
I don't.
Nobody's shopping anymore.
Not in store.
That's true. Everything's going to Amazon.
So again, so you can see where the money's coming from. Our budget is only up 2% from the previous year, but I need to get the monies from somewhere, and that monies are coming from our larger fee schedule and a tax increase. If the board doesn't want to spend money on the security patrol, this all gets changed dramatically. And if we don't want to change our fee schedule, this will also change dramatically. So what will happen at the board meeting on Monday, assuming we're all in agreement with this, is we're gonna have to pass a resolution to pierce the tax cap, because the tax cap is 2% or 2 point something
It's
percent.
2% this year.
So we'd have to pierce the tax cap, which I reluctantly want to do, but we're going to have to if we want to continue to
We
offer
passed a resolution
services.
on that many years ago, so.
Well, we passed a local law on it in 2016 because that was the year they instituted it.
Mhm.
And I believe Chuck was the mayor at the time. He said, let's just put this on the books in case we ever need it.
Right.
Now we need it.
So that's number one. The other thing the board's gonna have to vote on then is the the new fee schedule. And if we vote on those two things, then we can vote on this budget as presented.
when was the last time you raised taxes?
We raise them every year, it's just.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we kept them,
One year, I think we didn't.
Like
For
nothing.
2020, when Brian was the mayor, and it was COVID, I think we kept the taxes flat.
Flat.
okay.
But that was really it. Any other time, post that, it was less than 2%.
Yeah, that's what I
Right,
thought.
Half a
Yeah.
percent, a
Yeah, small,
percent. yeah.
negligible,
Never,
right?
never pierce the cap.
We have always been below the tax cap.
Yeah, okay.
No,
It's just that one year.
I've never wanted to raise it more than the tax cap, but unfortunately, if we want to spend on things, we need to get monies from somewhere, and unfortunately, that's taxes. So that is our grand presentation. Unless you have anything to add.
Well, people will be used to it because the schools are all looking to pierce the cap as well, aren't they?
Some
Washington is.
Some of the school districts is looking to spend a lot of money, and some of the school districts are cutting back. I think Manhasset is cutting back on teachers this year. I
But
think.
they hired for money that they weren't gonna, it's not gonna keep coming. It's not like it,
I read in Newsday, this district's cutting staff, this district's cutting
but
staff.
behind
so-
the scenes, they have to look at, they've hired all these people the good times don't keep rolling. At some point,
Well, they can, if you just want to keep on raising your taxes.
I guess, yeah.
It's unsustainable to have
Yeah.
all these people working. But yeah, and listen, I want to give Rich a lot of credit because like when the old pickup truck broke the pulley and the tensioner broke last week, 2 weeks ago. He fixed it. It was a $40 part. It was a new circ belt, which was another $40. Instead of bringing it into the mechanic or the dealership, that would probably just for $1,000. You spent part of the day repairing the truck. So I think that would be.
That's great. And the oil changes, all things that.
So this could be, these expenses could be a lot higher if we didn't do a lot of our own in-house repairs and maintenance. So kudos to Rich and kudos to the highway department.
and then when we did the meeting about the security patrol, I don't remember what the language was. Did we say we were gonna reevaluate it? And does that mean we're reevaluating for our next meeting? Is there,
What we said is we evaluated on we look, Ronnie and I looked at it on a weekly basis. And we as a board would evaluate it on a monthly basis. So if it's something that, listen, if it's something we don't want to spend money on, the community decides we don't spend money on, we don't have to. If it's something we want to spend more money on, we could spend more money on. But I wish money grew on trees, 'cause it's the only place for it to come is
And
from
we're
taxes.
averaging, on the security patrol at $3,400 a week. So,
Which is
very
why,
expensive.
which is why I'm looking for the non-Leo company, and I'm trying to get some more proposals to see, for those savings, because it's nice to have a law enforcement officer, but I don't think that's an affordable
Yeah,
thing.
and they can't engage with a perp anyway,
We
right?
don't want them to engage. with
Right,
that.
so
The only advantage is
they're another set of eyes, basically.
it's a better set of eyes.
Right.
Right.
You know, a set of eyes and a set of eyes.
They know what to look for, they,
Right.
Oh, you mean the law enforcement guy,
enforcement.
oh, as opposed to the,
Anomaly.
Some guy who's just making
Just driving.
15 miles an hour driving around. See something, goes, I'm not getting it.
oh, I see what you're
Law
saying.
enforcement guys, they know what to look for, they.
Yeah, that's true.
But you pay for that.
Right.
Hmm.
But I think we could downgrade the service, and that's
So
what.
can an off-duty or retired police officer who's allowed to carry a gun in New York State at all times, even when they're retired, can they engage, if he sees a crime being committed, that's
Who's he
the law enforcement
that we're
officer,
hiring? So,
can he act as a peace officer? Because retired cops can make arrests and can.
we have specifically stated in our contract with the companies that we don't want the officers armed, and we don't want the officers to engage.
Mm.
They are supposed to observe and report, because I don't want an accident to happen. We don't want, for the safety of our residents, for the safety of the officer, for safety of every kind of liability. It's, let the police do the police. This is just another set of eyes. Let them call 911, let the police come and deal with the situation. I just don't want something to get out of hand, you know. Kids are gonna be kids, and kids are gonna do something stupid, and I really don't want any of our kids to get harmed if something goes south.
I had researched it before for different villages. I'd have to check. There was something that conflicts with the Nassau County contract with villages for police enforcement.
Hmm.
If you have somebody working as a peace officer, I'll double check. But
I see a lot of like
Interesting.
Americana, a lot of them, you know, are armed now. When you go to a total line on Old Country Road, when you walk in, it's a guy automatic weapon on his belt. There's people stealing liquor.
And they shoot you.
But Americana, they now have a lot of armed cars.
Every store has its own on board.
Yeah,
It's
but they
It's
still,
like-
they still go in and steal $7,000 worth of items or whatever.
And they don't pursue.
7, that's cheap.
That's cheap,
That's, yeah.
but you know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
just
that's-
the one
He's
Hermes,
gonna
it's
buy his wife a
like
Birkin, someone stole
$50,000.
it. So that's why Kristen gets the Birkin. All right, is there any other questions?
Just devil's advocate on that, so 181,000 for the property tax increase, so what is that, about 325 households, give or take if it was spread out evenly, is that what the increase would be? And the other question from the public, I guess, or if somebody brought up, since the security patrol started, how many incidents have we had?
All right, so let's address the
If that comes up.
So,
Yeah, and I've gotten
right
that
now-
question as well.
so I am aware of the incident on Mason, the
Right.
car break, the alleged car break-in, where the neighbor called the police, and the 2 people were apprehended at the Manassas train station.
2 of the 3.
I don't know if the third was ever apprehended, but I'm actually meeting with Commissioner Ryder tomorrow, so I'm gonna ask him. You know, it doesn't always make the news, they got the third person, but I'll ask him about the third person. And we had some drunken teens on someone's lawn, but that wasn't something that the security patrol would necessarily engage with.
I'm just curious if it comes up at the meeting. if somebody-
There was no, I
Just trying to
can't
make
remember,
justification.
oh, and we had a incident where on Elderfield, someone shared a video of somebody walking through their backyard, and when the lights turn on from their smart lights, the person bends down, but there's no crime other than the person walking through their backyard,
Well, it's a crime.
but there was no crime.
and no reports from Flower Hill East?
Flower Hill East has given me no reports of any crimes deterred or observed or anything. And there is and I did share with you, there is a Flower Hill, up on Flower Hill West, that are looking to do their own security patrol as well. I don't have any information how successful they are in their fundraising. That was answered question one. The
How
other
many
one was,
taxpayers?
how much will that increase affect each household?
Well,
On
I was just- I
average.
was just curious.
The problem is you can't,
It's not, I know it's.
so what
proportional.
Suzanne can do for us, because I don't think I have it, we can actually take the tax rate, see how much the tax rate goes up, and then grab a sample house. So I can grab your house and some of those.
Well, how many taxpayers do we have?
What's the average, like 1,200 a year?
So it's like $120 on average household.
Like $1,200 a year is our
No.
average?
And we go from somebody who pays $400 a year to somebody who pays $4,000 a year.
Except you also have to remember when Suzanne says the 4,000, is that including fire?
Yes.
That's, see. 2/3 of our,
Right.
that's why this number always have a
Yeah,
problem.
right.
2/3 of
You
our
can't be right.
village.
It's very hard to break down.
Because there's two fire departments, and then there's the part of the village that doesn't pay the fire
So everybody
tax, so.
complains, we'll get the guy who's
it's hard to-
here and said, you know, people can afford it, I don't care how much it goes up, and let him explain it to them.
Well, that's if we add multiple cars. My proposal is to keep one and
No,
it-
but still,
So-
even just with the one car, your tax
Right.
increase, because you have to bring the money in to pay for
Mhm.
it, is more substantial than it has been.
correct.
So if we did do the savings on the security, would that reduce us to a less than what we're
That's
proposing here?
under the
We
tax
still
cap.
pierce the tax.
I mean, we still pierce the tax cap, by-
If we were to remove the security patrol.
not remove,
Remove it.
pay,
Oh, sorry.
spend
Go to
less.
Plan B.
Or is this
yeah,
assuming
unarmed.
plan less?
This
No.
is, the budget has the less,
This
the lower number.
number that you're seeing is with the non-Leo, so the less expensive
Okay.
patrol.
All right, so, and that's as if we have it for the full year.
Correct.
And so one of the options this board can make is somewhere mid-year, we say, you know what, we don't really need it anymore. We've done enough deterrence. We can save the money if we, is that an option that the board would consider? Because I,
Correct. Well, almost every expense we have on the budget, we can opt not to spend. Then you're providing the services to our residents.
You budget for it, so you have the money should you need it. But if you don't deem it necessary, then those monies would stay within your budget unused and could be, say, at some point transferred if you didn't use them in, say, the,
To a capital, one of the capital accounts.
to the capital
Right.
account or do more roads.
So,
whatever.
Right.
given that the cost for security is about 2/3 of what we're asking for, and actually, 2/3 of the full amount, so that, what portion of, is it like 6% would be piercing that's the portion that pierces the tax cap, right? So in other words, if we only ask for up to 2%, we'd be asking for what? Like 40,000 or 30,000?
42,000,
Right,
41,000.
right. So I'm, see where I'm going is like, we're asking them to pay the extra 6% to fund
Let-
most of
Let
the,
me help you with a number. It's usually the wrong number. That's the percent of the budget. You actually have to go on the last page here. And it's actually, to raise by taxes is going up 16%. You're focusing.
I'm focusing, all right.
Right,
okay.
because remember, what I do here, and this is a little bit of an eye chart, but I'm sure you like it because you're receiving taxes. I take out the fire part of this.
Got it.
So what we raised by taxes was last year's 1.1 million. This year we need 1.3 million or 1.4 million.
I got it.
So 196.
Got it, 16.5%.
So I need to, right, so that the tax part goes up by 6%.
Right, but of the 197, 130 is in security?
130 is security. Yep.
Okay, so it's still representative about 2/3, maybe not quite 2/3. We're close to 2/3 actually. So that means 10% of the 16, at least 10% is associated to. See where I'm going? It's like I think we need to think about how we present it in such a way that either, hey, this is what it is, or is there, if we decide as a board, I don't know. For me, I feel like it's all eyewash. I mean, it's great. It seems to be somewhat effective, but do we think we're going to continue with this forever? I don't know.
It's something we can look at on a month-to-month basis. And if it's something that we don't want to spend the funds on, we don't think it's effective, or we think that crime has gone down enough, we can certainly
And-
readdress it, and we can certainly remove this.
Right, but when upon removal, don't you think you're gonna get people upset that they paid taxes on something that
Well,
now
I
we're pulled
can't-
away?
I can't give their taxes back, but I can use those monies for other worthwhile projects.
I'm-
Like we can.
I'm just playing devil's
And
advocate.
that's fine,
here.
we could then do the road pavings that we didn't do this year, because I cut them out of the budget to help balance it. We can use the monies to replace the equipment that we replaced, because you can see a lot of our equipment is red on the capital equipment chart. Or we can decide to save it, put it in reserve, and then next year, we really don't have to raise taxes. We'll have the monies from our reserve to use. I'm not looking to do this permanently every year.
Mm.
A large tax increase, I'll have those monies that can offset anything we want to do next year.
But it never goes back.
I haven't figured a way to give monies back.
No, my point is it's rare that the taxes get lowered, right? Once we get to this point.
It's not impossible if inflation is kept in check and we don't have to invest as much in roads, we don't have to invest as much in salt and other consumables. It is conceivable that we could have either a lower tax rate or a no tax increase next year. Everything is possible. It just depends on what we are willing as a village to live with and what we're willing to live without.
So I guess what's the presentation on this thing?
This
To the
is
general
presentation.
public, to the general
Well,
public.
The general public can be listening in right now, so what we're saying is what the presentation is going to be on Monday.
Okay.
This is the budget. In order to make all this happen, I need to get monies from somewhere. So increase in taxes, increase in the revenues, AKA our building fees. And that's where we get to. The best way to not raise taxes is to get rid of the most expensive increase this year, and that's the security patrol. But we heard from the residents that they want a security patrol. So we're giving them the security patrol. I really have not increased anything else on this budget. If you look at the expenses, almost everything where we can is same or lower.
Yeah, we really cut a lot.
But with inflation, a lot of things go up.
Right, and well, there were also a couple hits on the revenue side.
Correct. But if again, you're looking at your expenses,
So Randall, when you're looking at interest earnings, so this year, why there are two lines, 7,500, what's the 54,000?
so
Second, and then,
Page do you want?
come on, page
On the
14, page 14, second to last line.
So what we need to look at on this, because this is slightly different than our previous budget.
interest earnings,
I'm just wondering what the two lines are.
So the top line was
Uh-huh.
what was anticipated, the bottom line is the actual. So it's comparing budget to actual.
So the top line,
We expected. in-
7,500, and you got $54,000 less than that? I don't know, I'm not following. There's a minus sign. Am I not looking at that correctly?
yeah.
Under 23.
Yep.
What line item you on?
Right down here.
In other words, so
First
2020, oh, actual. So what you're saying is in 2022,
We
you
budgeted-
anticipated as the first line, you anticipated 5,000 and you made 44,000? So you made another 39,000, and in the last year, you anticipated 7,500, but what's the minus 54? And this year, 24, anticipating 40. I'm just kind of wondering where those numbers.
So when it went back to 2022, was that the year we did math class or was that 23?
I thought 23.
Well, I'll let Suzanne answer because she runs the budget better than I in this part. I know for this year, the 24,000 was the budgeted for the interest income. And then obviously it came a lot more because we're able to invest in higher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've got
class.
5%,
Class.
you're getting paid
But I-
5%,
I
right.
can have Suzanne look at why there's a minus on the 50.
The 23
That doesn't
doesn't-
make sense.
Doesn't make
23
sense.
doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Something is wrong.
And neither does 22.
Right.
But the only thing I'm gonna say, and I'm not defending this, is that this is the information that Edmonds pulled in from our old system, but I can look at our old
Yeah,
system.
I would,
I think
I would
there's a
check
way-
that.
Yeah, because those numbers don't look right.
They don't look right to
But-
me.
Definitely
But guess
goes
what?
there.
We don't care about 23, 22, and 21. It doesn't affect us right now.
It's gone.
No, but I think that if they're used to make projections for 24,
I
then
don't
they are
use-
important,
I don't use those numbers to make projections.
But I can certainly check those numbers for you,
well,
just so we. know
that's a
what
couple
we're
pieces of equipment right there, right? You got 24, you're saying you're.
I don't understand how we would have minus or
Well,
just.
that's
But
what
I-
I'm saying.
No, that's why it said
Did
way
we have a
wrong.
loan that we have to pay?
No.
This village doesn't have any work.
No, I'm just saying, because if you're anticipating 40,000 this year, as opposed to minus 50, whatever that is, I'm just looking at the difference between
Yeah,
anticipating 24, but actual is 40. How do you know what your actual is if it's only the beginning of, unless you're annualizing, it's March, it's gonna
Right,
be,
well, that's, you know, or maybe up to.
I would just say clarification
Yeah,
would
well,
be
that's
helpful.
Yeah, well, that's what I said, I'll check it for you.
well. When's the fiscal year end? End of this
May
month?
31st.
Oh, May 31st.
Your budget starts June 1st.
So you're only 2 months away from really
Right,
knowing the
right.
real.
Any other questions? No, I want to go to an executive session. Do I make a motion to close this? This isn't a public hearing. What's the proper procedure for
Well, it's
this?
a public
This is a public
meeting, yeah.
Okay.
I would make a motion to close this public hearing,
All right.
go into executive session.
I'm making that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank
All in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let me turn off the robot.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
See you
Thank you.
tomorrow.